In 1998, the Philippine film industry witnessed the resurgence of a legend with the release of Ang Pagbabalik ni Daniel Barian. This wasn't merely a sequel to the 1977 classic, it was a cinematic homecoming for a character that embodied the soul of the Filipino Bakal hero. 2 decades after the world last saw him, Daniel Barian returned to the screen, not as a man looking for a fight, but as a man who had earned his silence, only to find that the world wouldn't let him keep it. The narrative arc of this late 90s epic explores the heavy burden of a reputation. Daniel Barian is introduced as a man living in self-imposed exile, trying to cultivate a life of peace, far from the gunsmoke of his youth. He has become a myth to some and a memory to others. However, the peace of the countryside is shattered by a predatory syndicate that operates with a level of cruelty that the local authorities are too terrified to challenge. The heart of the story lies in the breaking point, the moment when Daniel realizes that his silence has become a form of permission for the villains to continue their reign of terror. When he finally unearths his revolvers, it is a chilling and heroic moment that signals the end for the oppressors. The return is depicted with a gritty modern edge. Daniel doesn't fight like a young man with something to prove. He fights like a veteran who knows exactly how much a life is worth. The film focuses on his tactical patience, showing him as a shadow that systematically dismantles the syndicate's operations. The plot reaches its boiling point in a series of high-stakes confrontations where the pas-pasan style, FPJ's signature lightning-fast draw, is executed with a level of precision that proved the king hadn't lost a step. It is a story about the inevitability of one's nature. A protector can only watch for so long before he must strike. The cast was a strategic blend of the old guard and the new. FPJ commanded the screen with a weathered, granite-like presence, portraying a Daniel who carried the weight of 20 years in his eyes. He was supported by Anjanette Abayari, whose role provided the necessary human stakes for Daniel's intervention. The villainous roster was a tribute to the genre's history, featuring the ultimate antagonist, Paquito Diaz, alongside Joko Diaz, Bob Soler, and Max Alvarado. This ensemble created a world where the danger felt authentic and the history felt deep, as many of these actors had faced off against FPJ in various roles for decades. Behind the scenes, the film was a Ronaldo Reyes production through and through. FPJ, directing under his pseudonym, utilized the vast, rugged landscapes of the Philippines to evoke the feeling of a classic Western. He moved away from the cramped city sets to give the action a sense of scale and air. A significant BTS detail was the focus on practical intensity. FPJ insisted on real pyrotechnics and synchronized stunt work that didn't rely on the burgeoning digital effects of the era. He wanted the audience to feel the heat of the explosions and the grit of the dust. The sound design was a priority, ensuring that the distinctive crack of Daniel's firearms was the most dominant sound in the theater. Financially, the movie was a massive triumph. In a year when the local industry was struggling against the tide of high-budget Hollywood imports, Ang Pagbabalik ni Daniel Barian proved that FPJ was still the ultimate box office draw. It was a super roadshow success, pulling in massive crowds across the archipelago and proving that the character of Daniel Barian was a timeless symbol of hope for the masses. The film's earnings solidified it as one of the major hits of 1998, reinforcing the idea that the action king was the only one who could truly bridge the generational gap of filmgoers. In terms of critical recognition and awards, the film was highly decorated. It garnered multiple nominations from the FAMAS and FAP awards, specifically for Best Actor, Best Action Movie, and Best Cinematography. Critics noted that the film was a sophisticated evolution of the character, praising its slow-burn directorial style and its refusal to rely on mindless tropes. The legacy of the 1998 return is its testament to the enduring power of justice. It served as a reminder that while the world changes, the need for a man of honor remains a constant.
Daniel Barillon stands as one of the most pillars of FPJ's career, a hero who didn't just survive his past, but returned to it to ensure that the future belonged to the innocent. It remains a masterpiece of the genre, a film where the law is not just a book, but a man who refuses to stay retired when the people are in pain.